there's reports now that some farmers have 100% of their workers not showing up and they're being forced to shut down. In South Texas, they grow grapefruit, they grow oranges, lots of different citrus varieties, leafy greens, onions, potatoes, peppers. So not only are the prices of what we can get going to go up at the grocery store, but also there's going to be massive food waste if there's nobody picking these crops when they're ready to be picked. I hope MAGA likes a diet of strictly processed foods.
How you going to run a country when you flip-flop harder than a fish on a dock? Last week, Trump said he was going to exempt hospitality and farm workers from ICE raids. You know, the people who literally keep the country fed and who keep our hotels running. He already reversed his decision, y'all. As of Monday, ICE agents were told to ignore that guidance and go back to doing those raids on those locations. So again, he is backtracking like he always does. Says one thing to sound reasonable, then pulls it back when he hears the loudest person yelling in his base. And I'm sitting here wondering, like, how are businesses supposed to function like this? How do you run a restaurant, a hotel, or a farm when week to week you don't know if you're going to have workers? That's next to impossible. The funniest part is the people who voted for this, they thought really this would make America great again. I'm trying to figure out what's great about chaos. What's great about fear and instability? What's so great about punishing the workers that are doing the jobs that most Americans don't want to do anyway? Trump ain't delivering greatness. He's delivering confusion. And at this point, he's not making it great. He's just making it harder to function.
If you guys haven't been following along, President Cheeto decided to go on this whole rant online where he was like, you know what? I've heard from a lot of people that they're losing out on a lot of good, hardworking people because of the immigration raids. And he went on this whole rant on how he was going to look into it and he was going to pause all of the immigration things that are happening in fields and hotels and stuff like that, right? And for a second there, we're like, wait, did he just say something rational? Did he just say something that makes sense, you know? But we all kind of just ate our words immediately because right after he was like, we're going to put a pause to this, we're going to do this, apparently he reversed that guidance that he gave people to chill out on the farmers and the hotels and then all this. And he decided that he was going to send ICE over there to do exactly what he said that he thought was a bad idea. Like, what? I mean, just look at this. This is something quoted from the Washington Post. It says the Trump administration reportedly reversing a recently formulated plan to refrain from conducting immigration raids against undocumented migrants in the agricultural, hotel, and restaurant industries, right? Obviously, because he has a bunch of hotels. So I was like, okay, you know, it is what it is. You know, he has a hotel. He's doing this for self-gain, but at least, you know, this actually makes sense. But now the Department of Homeland Security announced the return to raids on such workers on Monday morning call with representatives from 30 immigration and customs enforcement field offices. Lord, I can't keep doing this. Now, I don't even know what's going on with the world right now. It feels like it's flipped upside down. I don't know what's happening. There's been so many reports that there have been ICE agents all over farms and agricultural areas and hotels and restaurants and all these places. And I'm just like, what is happening? What's it gonna take for the world to snap out of this? Like, come on. The administration makes absolutely no sense. One day they say one thing, the next day they say another. I'm not sure if they were just like, okay, maybe they'll let their guards down and this is how they're getting creative in getting the people that were undocumented. I have no idea, but it is terrible, and that's just my opinion, of course. I'm very curious to know what you guys think about this.
I don't understand, MAGA. Why aren't you guys in these fields in Florida? It's super weird. You guys need to get in these fields. This is your dream, not ours, MAGA. Get in these fields and pick the food. I'm so confused where you all are at. You guys are, and believe me, I've done the research. You're all not college educated. This is where you guys should be at. You said a job is a job. That's what you guys said. You said that immigrants were taking our jobs. So you guys need to get in these fields and pick the damn fruit and vegetables. You wanted this. Where are you at? I don't understand why you guys aren't picking all the fruit in the fields. Get in there and get our food.
And just like that, the Department of Homeland Security has reversed course again and is now conducting raids again against farms, restaurants, hotels, even construction sites. A complete reversal from Thursday when Trump said no more raids on these organizations and businesses. According to the Washington Post, ICE officials are under extreme pressure to ratchet up their arrests of undocumented immigrants to at least 3,000 a day. The most they've ever gotten in one day so far since Trump has been president is 2,000. I have no idea, once they make all these arrests, where the judges are to prosecute their deportations, where the trial attorneys are to prosecute their deportations, and where the jail space is to hold them, because immigration jail space is full, and deportation hearings are being pushed back 3-4 years. So these random arrests are gumming up the system, destroying businesses, destroying people's lives, scaring the hell out of everybody, ruining the U.S. economy, just to complete.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're faring well where you are. And if you're not faring well, please fare well where you are. So we have the white MAGA supporters who are farmers. And these are especially the farmers from Nebraska. And Nebraska is known for having so many of white farmers who produce a lot of food that eventually goes to the supermarkets, to the groceries. If you go to an American supermarket, in the grocery section, you are likely, it is likely that 50% and above, a good percentage, is always food from Nebraska. So these Nebraskan farmers relied heavily on some tax aids. Also, they relied heavily on the promises that were made by Trump. You know, Trump promised them, we will offer you tax cuts, as I said earlier. We will offer you reduced prices on agricultural produces. We will offer you market. We will offer you security, food security, and capital security. You'll be able to go to the banks and, do some loan, and we shall give you loan with very low interest. So the people bought in the lies of Donald Trump. So the white farmers hurried and voted him in. And also remember, these are not just farms. These are plantation. A plantation is a very, very huge farm. Particularly planting, the thing which is grown in a plantation is a singular crop. Let's say if it is corn, it is corn for like even 100 acres, even 60, even 1,000 acres of corn. That is a plantation, right? So these plantations, they needed laborers, and these laborers were Hispanics, the Latinos, and the blacks. Some of them, not so many, but mostly Latinos and the Hispanics, or the Mexicans, if you like. So Donald Trump came, and you know what Donald Trump does best, right? He did that. So the people went away, and the farmers were left, right? So it's just a lot of confusion. It's just a lot of confusion. Now they are busy crying up and down. You see, I did a video about the Nebraskan farmers wailing and lamenting. But now again, they're still doing that, right? They're still lamenting and wailing. But it is their choice. They made their bed, and I think they must lie on the bed that they made, yeah? Now, let's listen to their lamentation. Let's listen to how they are doing their things. I shall get back by the end of the video, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis.
Major breaking news. The Trump administration just announced they are resuming raids at hotels, restaurants, and farms. Just a few days ago, the Trump administration promised they're going to protect farms, restaurants, and hotels. But today, they issued an order to ICE agents to start those raids immediately. They said there's no safe place for industries that protect undocumented immigrants. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller has clearly set a target of 3,000 arrests per day. If you're an employer watching this, you need to start getting ready. Prepare your companies for an ICE raid, for an ICE audit. Get all the documents in place. Educate your employees what to do in case of a raid. And if you need help, please contact me right here, the number here. We're getting ready to help many employers protect their restaurants, protect their farms. We're going to push back on this thing. Stay safe, guys, out there, and follow me for daily updates.
I really want to offer my deepest sympathies to the red state farmers of America who woke up to the devastating news that America's stepchild, Vivek Ramaswamy, is going to cut their farm subsidies. Yes, you did hear that right. You know, the many billions of dollars that you and I pay to these farmers to subsidize them growing our food is now suddenly going to get cut. Apparently, it's wasteful spending. But this is what they voted for. So I just want to say, I'm really offering you my deepest thoughts and my deepest sympathies as you painfully experience what you voted for. I hope it was worth it.
Now, ICE is going to be targeting migrants who are here illegally working on farms and in restaurants and in hotels.
Homeland Security is saying that ICE is going to start enforcing in hotels and farms again. Is that a change of course from last week?
We're going to look everywhere, but I think the biggest problem is the inner cities. We're looking everywhere. There are far more in the inner cities, Democrat-run cities, sadly, and I'm just giving you a fact, there's far more in there than you have on a farm someplace.
So no one's getting exemptions anymore, everyone is.
Well, everyone's being looked at.
That was the president this morning on Air Force One. Now, this is a complete shift in tone towards migrants who are here illegally working on farms and in the leisure and hospitality industry. Last Thursday, less than a week ago, I reported in this video that the president said this.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. You go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers. Common sense on that.
After that statement, Homeland Security sent guidance to immigration agents fanned out across the country, directing them to hold off on worksite enforcement investigations and operations on farms and in restaurants and at hotels. But yesterday, immigration enforcement reportedly got a new directive. Homeland Security changed the guidance again and now says ICE has the green light to go back into work sites on farms, into hotels and restaurants to target any migrant who is here illegally. And that change was confirmed when the president today said, we're going to look everywhere. He did not take that same strong stance he did last week. There is definitely a difference now. Now, according to his comments today on Air Force One and in a lengthy post he put on his social media page, while the president may be changing his mind about immigration enforcement on farms and...
Okay, I want to show you all this full clip of A.J. Richards, a MAGA voter and a farmer who explains in a 2 or 3 minute video why Trump is losing the support of him and farmers across the country with multiple key actions that Trump and his admin have taken. Now, earlier I made a video about a comedian who also is regretting his vote for Donald Trump, and he said as much. He said he apologizes for even voting for Trump now that Trump is getting the U.S. involved in the Israel-Iran war, very likely. So you see this increased pattern of Trump supporters regretting their votes because Trump conned them, or Trump promised something, and now him and his advisors are executing on something completely differently. Before I even play this video, let me remind you, Trump's entire admin is now chickening out on the immigration raids. And I don't say that as someone who wants them to happen even further. I mean, Trump has spent his entire political career promising this aggressive deportation stance, and now he is completely backing down. And large portions of MAGA are mad at this as well. Inside Trump's extraordinary turnaround on immigration raids, President Trump's decision to pause most raids targeting farms and hospitality workers took many inside the White House by surprise. And of course, I support the pause. You guys know that. But the point here is Trump can't keep a consistent policy to save his life. And he always ends up alienating a large portion of his base because of the way that he operates. What about this one? Wisconsin dairy farmer sues Trump administration, claiming discrimination against white farmers. Talk about being eaten by your own. A Wisconsin dairy farmer alleged in a federal lawsuit filed today, Monday, June 16th, that the Trump admin is illegally denying financial assistance to white farmers by continuing programs that favor minorities. So this is a case of the Trump admin trying to claim they're eradicating DEI, but still keeping in some equitable policies for farmers, and then farmers getting angry. The conservative Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty filed the lawsuit, but I don't even find that as important as the Trump admin backing down. Listen to this. On Wednesday morning, President Trump took a call from Brooke Rollins, his Secretary of Agriculture, who relayed a growing sense of alarm from the heartland. Farmers and agriculture groups, she said, were increasingly uneasy about his immigration crackdown. Federal agents had begun to aggressively target work sites in recent weeks with the goal of sharply bolstering the number of arrests. Now let's watch this video of AJ Richards. Make sure that you drop a like. And I keep getting comments like, Adam, I've been watching since 200K and I just realized that I wasn't subscribed. Fixing that now. So join the crew. We are building a powerhouse of a channel with you all. I appreciate it all. Let's watch this clip of a farmer explaining exactly how Trump lost his.
I tell you what, I think the only people that have fucked around and found out harder than federal employees that voted for Trump is farmers that voted for Trump. This farmer voted for Trump. Now his family farm is barely getting by. The Thomases took a 10% hit when the Trump administration abruptly cut $1 billion from two programs that supplied local produce and meat to schools and food banks across the country. Two things Republicans hate: schools and food banks. Said the financial insecurity makes my depression worse, Jacob said recently. He was trying to remain optimistic, reminding himself it was still earlier in the year. Just because one program went away, there's still plenty of time to pivot. Though the Thomases and many of their neighbors voted for Donald Trump last November, the consequences of this administration's wide-ranging cuts and uncertainty over tariffs have already had a profound impact on this hilly corner of northeast Kansas, one of the hardest hit states for agriculture during Trump's last trade war. It says for many, the pride that they felt when President Trump spoke of his love for farmers in his March 6th address to Congress has given way to a growing sense of helplessness, frustration, and anger. How did you not learn from his first term? It's like people have no memory. Their hate and fear of having a black woman for president could cause them to lose their family farm. And I bet they'd vote.
See, there's always something I'm always saying. The thing is, America proclaims to take care of their citizens. But we know some citizens in America are more equal than others. White people are highly prioritized than any other race in America. What's heartening us the most is that America is a multiracial country, and the white people are the dominant group. We have so many white people in America as compared to any other race. After white, we have the black race. After the blacks, we have the Latinas. The Latinas, then the Asians, Chinese, Indians, and all that. You see, the tax cuts that were made by Trump, now let me get into this point. The tax cuts made by Trump cut across a prejudice. It transcended racism for Trump. Trump made even the white farmers cry. Normally that would never happen, but he made them feel the heat. He made them experience what black people experience. So right now the Nebraskan farmers are crying, saying this and that. But this is something that we have suffered, black people have suffered for years. So somehow it's not such a huge deal to us. Somehow to us it's just a normal day. Someone is wailing and crying. They didn't get enough of what they expected. See, the Latinas and the white farmers, they celebrated and they knew that maybe the machineries will replace the works of the Latinas. Little did they know Trump was going to raise the tariffs. You see, that food might be a lot that some has to be exported. And it has to be exported to countries like China, countries in the Far East, yes, countries in East Europe, right? Some countries in Africa. So when Trump places tariffs on those countries that these people are expecting to do their market, you see these people also retaliate. They place their tariffs, their own version of tariffs, with regard to what Trump did. That is what they do. They place their tariffs with regard to what Trump did. If Trump placed heavy tariffs on them, why would they place a lower tariff? They have to place a counteractive tariff that will see a balance, that will see an equilibrium. So white farmers crying and complaining, I sympathize, because the greater good is going to suffer. People who need food, people always need food, even myself, everyone. So we are all going to suffer, but we're going to suffer for our choices. We voted the wrong person in. He told us who he was at first, but we never believed him. So let us suffer the consequences of our choices. That's my thought. You see, if you're a Nebraskan farmer and you voted him because you wanted some kind of people to get out of your country, now I think it is right that you enjoy the fruits of your labor, if we have such a thing. Yes. Guys, this is EFK Original Documentaries. Kindly share your thoughts about this whole idea. I would really love to hear from you. Share your thoughts and do it in the comment section. If you like what I do, kindly subscribe and support me on Patreon. I'll surely appreciate. See you in the next one.
All right, MAGA, get out there. Where are you at? You got your jobs back. You got your jobs that were taken from you. Get out there. Get out there and start working. Get to work. America first. Get out there. 100% haven't shown up to work due to immigration raids, Texas farmer says. America's migrant workers are terrified to work, but unable to stay home. So get out there, MAGA. You got these jobs back. You took them back. You voted. You got your guy in there to get rid of all of those migrant workers. So get out there. Get out there and start working. But for real, I want to shout out to the undocumented migrant workers, as they were deemed essential in 2020. They stepped up when this nation needed them most. They have my utmost respect. They should see a pathway to citizenship. Period. Period. They were deemed essential workers, risking their lives in one of the most hazardous jobs in the entire U.S. labor market. They have my full respect. Thank you for your service and your contribution to this country.
Farms in deep red Texas are shut down, and Donald Trump is the reason. Now, as you know, Donald Trump has shifted ICE from focusing on criminal immigrants to going after easier targets such as job sites to pump his numbers up. But farms are hurting because of this, as many of their workers are either being deported or not showing up for fear of being caught up in these raids. And because of this, they're essentially shut down and no work can be done. Just take a listen to one farmer.
3 weeks, it started to slow, but this last week or so has been huge. That's when it's like zero people wanting to come out. And
yeah, zero people going to work the farms. And while, yes, these farmers are in the find out phase, we're all going to be in it, because they're talking that our food supply is going to be shut down or have major interruptions. And it's not just Texas, it's California and Washington. We are finding out that, yes, immigrants do help the American economy. Immigrants are part of the American fabric. We just didn't realize it till it was.
It's Joe from Georgia. So this is news out of Texas. But folks, these are alarm bells ringing for the entire United States. And our government is not listening. Overnight, multiple farms in the state of Texas completely shut down. And the reason for this shutdown was because they have lost almost 100% of their workforce. Now, we know this is the result of the immigration raids and stricter enforcement, but the ripple effect is going to be felt all the way across this country. Now, you've got crops that are rotting in the fields. You have livestock that is not being attended to at all. And that takes a lot of personnel. And we're talking, so now we're getting every area of food to include meat. And the communities that surround these farms, those businesses and those people who depend on the income from these farms, it's creating disasters for small communities in Texas. Now, this is not stopping at Texas farms. This is going to end up all the way across America, especially in the breadbasket, the middle of the nation, because they have tons of immigrant help. But folks, the alarm bells are ringing. Your food on your plate is being affected. So you got to think about it. It won't be soon until either prices go ridiculously high or you just won't have any food to buy.
You mean to tell me the farms in Texas are closing? Because they voted for their own staffs to be deported?
I want to be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain, I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague, we all love to hate.
No, this is so sad. There are a bunch of white Texas farmers who are losing their farms right now because guess what? 100% of their workforce vanished. Wow. So all those people, you know, who got eyes called on them, they were working on the farms. So now that they're gone, they cannot sustain the farms. You know what's crazy about this video? Because I talked about this like 2 months ago when Trump brought over all these South Afrikaners, farm people, where we find out that they were not really even farmers. And I was talking about this and found out that a few of our dear white farmers here had started losing their farms because of promises that were made to them and was not kept by this administration. So now it's trickling down to some other farmers because now their workforce, they're gone. And I was seeing somewhere where somebody came over and it was a Caucasian man. He came over from Twitter and he was like, y'all, a lot of these farmers, white farmers, they thought that black people were going to come and work for their farms. There's a lot going on in this country right now. You know, us heading into possibly World War II. But this is a conversation just to kind of talk about right now. That people are kind of seeing I guess, what's the word? I can't even find the word, but the decisions that they made, they are coming back to hunt them. Let's just say that. So sorry to hear this, but yeah. So I do hope that some of these Native Americans that did lose their lands, that they do get back some of these farms that are being lost.
Texas is continuing the F around and find out stage. Yes.
Well, thanks to the big orange gremlin looking motherfucker, multiple farms in Texas just shut down overnight. Why? Because ICE raids made nearly 100% of the workforce completely vanish. People ran, got detained, or flat out got scared to death and never came back. Dairy farms are in panic mode right now. Cows gotta be milked every 8 hours. And guess what? Nobody's showing up to milk these fuckers, folks. This isn't some Texas problem either. This is happening across the entire nation. ICE isn't just out here enforcing some bullshit laws. They are actively crippling our food systems with fear and chaos. You want to talk about consequences? This ain't just about politics anymore, y'all. It's about what's on your table, what's in your fridge, or what's about to be missing from your fucking store. These Nimrods aren't saving America. They're starving.
Hello, Americans who like to eat. I'm Linda, and I want to talk about empty grocery shelves. They are coming, and sooner than we think. There's a 3,000 per day immigrant detention quota. 40% of farm workers in the United States are undocumented. You do the math. Farms are an excellent place to find undocumented immigrants to detain and deport, depleting the workforce. And now, those who haven't been rounded up are afraid to show up. Let's look at just one state, Texas. According to farmers, this issue has been affecting their farms for a couple of weeks, but overnight, it bottomed out. On several Texas farms, nearly 100% of farm workers aren't showing up. So what does that mean for you? Remember Trump's comment about having 2 dolls instead of 30? Cows are milked 3 times a day. No workers, no milk, and some very unhappy cows. What if your grocery store, instead of getting 30 gallons of milk, gets 2? 28 families will not be able to buy milk. Now extrapolate that among produce. Produce that instead of being harvested is rotting on the vine. Texas is one of the top 10 producers of 40 major commodities. It is the 4th largest agriculture producer in the nation and 2nd in animal products. And it's not just cows not being milked and produce rotting on the vine. 1 in 7 Texans works in an agriculture-related job. If farms stop working, those jobs are affected. Workers not earning money aren't paying taxes. And yes, undocumented workers pay taxes. Without money coming in, they will cut back on things like restaurants and small businesses, movie theaters, wherever they spend their discretionary income. Last week, Trump ordered a halt to immigration enforcement at farms. But it may already be too late to solve the current problem. The lack of workers now mean farms won't hit full production this year. And if they lose planting now, there is nothing to harvest later. Yet despite Trump's assurances, a few days after his statement, the administration resumed the raids. Vance says the administration plans to continue clearing the country of undocumented immigrants. Quote, we're enforcing everywhere. In other words, you ought to voluntarily go back and come through the proper channels, unquote. That can literally take years. And frankly, it doesn't protect you from being deported. In the meantime, the question remains, how long are you willing to go without food? Bye, Americans. Have a nice day.
Fields, whole crews are ghosting fields, leaving fruits and vegetables to rot because the Donald Trump administration is too busy playing cat and mouse with people who just want to feed America. To the MAGA people who are saying that immigrants are taking your job, this right here is your opportunity. Pick yourselves up by the bootstraps, get those buckets, and pick those strawberries. No more hiding behind those welfare checks that are padded behind blue state dollars. You wanted the raids, you got them. Now get in those fields and pick those fruits and vegetables before you watch the produce aisle turn to a luxury boutique section. Chop chop, MAGA. And that's it.
So guys, actually you can't have it both ways. Say like we love American farming and yet vote against the workers who work on the farms. Because these workers, they are the one who make it possible to this farmer to keep functioning, to keep going, to keep like everything. And you vote against those workers who are willing to come on the field, work on the sunny or when it's raining, cleaning, doing everything, making the cow and everything, every hard job. And now you are here crying, saying like those workers, you voted against them. Now they are not here anymore. And you know very well, people who are staying in the US, no one wants to do all that job. So you don't get to destroy your own labor forces and cry when you don't have anyone to pick your crops because you choose this. It's crazy. So guys, let's keep watching.
So there's reports coming out right now about farms in Texas losing nearly 100% of their staff due to immigrant workers not turning up because of fear of the ICE raids. So let's talk about that. Texas farms generate around $32 billion a year in revenue for the state, huge, valuable, and there's around 100,000 and there's hundreds of thousands of farm workers in Texas. And around 20-30% of those are foreign born, and around 17% of those are undocumented. So there's a lot of immigrants and a substantial number of undocumented immigrants. Now the ICE raids have caused people to stay at home because of the fear that they're going to get deported. This means that farms are losing their staff. Some areas have lost half their works overnight. That's halts milk operations and also means the herd isn't being tended to. But it's not 100% of staff, because less than 30% are immigrants in the first place. So we need to clarify 2 points. First of all, it is an issue because farms require a lot of manual labour. And even if you're losing 10% of the staff, that's going to be a bigger impact, but it's not 100%. Now, the reason it's a problem right now is this harvest is going on right now. So it's the winter wheat harvest, so it's planted at winter, gets harvested now, and around 50% of wheat could be harvested right now. And it's a critical phase. That's not going to happen if the staff aren't there. You then got a lot of fruit being harvested right now: cantaloupes, watermelons, peaches, plums, blackberries. They're all being harvested right now in either central or northern Texas. And these delays could either cause a loss of the crop or a reduced quality and therefore reduced revenue for the farmers. So it's actually quite a big issue. There's also secondary effects. So hay and silage is having troubles being harvested. That means there's going to be a long tail impact because the lack of hay now is going to impact the feed supplies later on. You've also got problems with logistics, so haulage, delivery, and then food processing plants. So think about abattoirs, etc. If the immigrant workers don't turn up for that either, you're not going to be able to get the food processed even once it is going from the farm to the factory. So this is quite a big issue. Not 100% of staff, but it is a significant percentage of staff which is going to impact food supplies.
We're here. We are here at the FAFO stage. This is really bad. And if you appreciate my content, please engage with this video. I'm just going to read this to you. Multiple Texas farms shut down after almost 100% of workforce vanishes overnight. In a stunningly swift overnight change, some Texas farm operations had to shut down after losing virtually all of their workforce, an exodus triggered by the increase in immigration raids and increased enforcement. The ripple effects of these raids are the gift that keeps on giving and will be felt nationwide. Unpicked crops are now left unharvested. Livestock were left untended, and rural economies are on edge. The story isn't just a tale of woe for Texas farms, it's a warning for American agribusiness, food prices, and communities that keep food on our plates. I need you to share this with every Republican you know. And you don't even need to wait for their response. They just need to know what's happening. And this is part of my line of work. I deal with commercial farmers, including these small farmers, as clients, and I cannot tell you how this is the beginning of the complete collapse of our economy under this Project 2025 administration that doesn't know what they're doing. You talk about the immediate shuttering of farms, because this is actually what's happening with the food, with the harvests that are lying there completely rotting. That is a loss of food to local food distributors, local grocery stores, local restaurants, hospitals. They sell their harvests, all sorts of vegetables, to businesses within the state of Texas. This is where you can go into your local grocery store, and now you're going to see hardly any vegetables or fruit, depending on what they're growing, or a shortage of meat. This is what's going to happen. Now, all of the other industries that support farming, you've got local pesticide, herbicide, fertilizer suppliers that are just, their sales are going to plummet. These farmers aren't going to be purchasing that. You've got H-2A workers who are now gone, migrant workers who are now gone. They were paying taxes. Even if they didn't have social security numbers, they were given tax numbers, tax ID numbers. So now you got millions of dollars just poof, gone overnight from these Texas communities. You've got trucking companies that are hired to haul the produce from the farms to the packaging plants. You've got packaging plants who wash the vegetables, grade the vegetables, pack the vegetables, whose sales are going to plummet. Now you're going to have other industries who don't employ either migrant workers or H-2A workers who are going to have layoffs. This is all under Republican leadership, not just from the White House, but from the Republicans that were elected in the state of Texas. And if you think this is going to stop at Texas, you've got another thing coming. And you want to know which farms are going to be impacted further down the road? They're going to be safe for now. There's a small percentage of farmers who are actually Democrats. And they understand how important it is to protect their employees, take care of their employees. Those employees who feel safe will keep showing up for work because they know the owners have